Hello, and welcome to the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of State Fire Marshal Fireworks Exhibitor Continuing Education course. We welcome you on behalf of the State Fire Marshal. Completion of this course satisfies the 6-hour Ohio licensed fireworks exhibitor continuing education course requirement. We hope you will find this course to be an informative resource. I am Denitra Butler, Testing and Registration Bureau Chief here at the State Fire Marshal. I will be presenting on fireworks licensing requirements. First, I'll speak briefly about the Ohio Department of Commerce as a whole. The mission of the Ohio Department of Commerce is to promote prosperity for businesses and the state by protecting what matters most to Ohioans. The Ohio Department of Commerce is focused on equipping businesses and protecting consumers. Our vision is to be the most trusted and resourceful government agency. And we do that by providing a great customer service experience that inspires success and also ensures compliance. As you see, Commerce is a large agency whose reach spans across a wide variety of industries. The Division of State Fire Marshal is one of the 8 divisions under the Commerce umbrella. And you see that the diversity spans from financial institutions, which regulates banks, to the medical marijuana program, to liquor control, to the Division of Real Estate, securities, which is investment securities, and even more. The Bureau of Testing and Registration. So within the State Fire Marshal, the Bureau of Testing and Registration is tasked with licensure requirements. We are a very small group. However, we are responsible for the issuance of nearly 50,000 licenses, registrations, and certifications per year across 5 industries. And those industries are fire protection, hotels and motels, fireworks explosives, underground storage tanks, and even cigarette manufacturers. So let's break down the 50,000 licenses that we issue annually, as well as the 5 major industries within the Bureau for whose licenses TNR administers. So we license the nearly 20,000 fire protection installer individuals and 2,000 fire protection companies who service, test, repair, and install fire protection or firefighting equipment. We also license the more than 1,700 hotels and motels that you see around Ohio. In addition, we license the more than 21,000 underground storage tanks that are located at over 7,000 underground storage tank facilities across Ohio. And these are locations like gas stations, hospitals, airports, colleges, universities, and more, many other businesses. We also license several hundred underground storage tank installers and the underground storage tank inspectors who are certified to perform work on those underground storage tanks. We even regulate cigarette manufacturers to monitor how those companies manufacture cigarettes that are sold in Ohio. Now, under fireworks and explosives, there are more than 100 locations that store explosives, such as black powder and more, and our Bureau issues permits for them to do business in Ohio. For the rest of this training module, I will talk in more detail about the fireworks licenses and certifications issued by TNR. Our topics specifically for this section of our training will be fireworks licensing. Under that includes fireworks exhibitors, flame effects, pyrotechnicians, exhibitors' assistants, fireworks wholesalers and manufacturers, fireworks shippers, and a new license type, fountain device retailers. We will talk in our next section about background checks. We'll talk a little bit about continuing education, and in licensing, we'll talk about online renewals as well. The Ohio Licensed Fireworks Exhibitor. So any person who wishes to be a fireworks exhibitor, which is often referred to in the industry as a lead shooter, a fireworks exhibitor of indoor, outdoor, theatrical, or special effects in Ohio. They must be an Ohio licensed fireworks exhibitor. We do license 3 types. There are 3 categories. Type 1 is the most common, and it actually covers 2 parts. If you have type 1, you actually have type 1 and type 2, which is both indoor and outdoor exhibitions for fireworks. So a type 1 indoor and outdoor licensed fireworks exhibitor is authorized to conduct outdoor fireworks display exhibitions and indoor exhibitions, and also pyrotechnicians. A type 2 fireworks exhibitor is licensed for indoor only. These are pyrotechnicians. And a type 3 exhibitor is licensed to operate flame effects before a proximate audience. We are often asked, do we have reciprocity with other states for the fireworks exhibitor license? And the answer is no, but we do accept an active exhibitor license from another state as a substitute for the letter of proficiency requirement that is required for those who don't have a license. But the FBI check and passing the exam is still required. So we are not a reciprocal state with other licenses for the exhibitor license. And next we have the registered fireworks exhibitor assistant. Any person assisting a licensed fireworks exhibitor in the setup of an exhibition, whether as a paid employee or as a volunteer, it doesn't matter either way, they must be an Ohio registered fireworks exhibitor assistant. So let's talk about the initial license requirements to hold either the exhibitor credential or the exhibitor assistant credential. Because each year, the number of exhibitors in Ohio continues to grow. To become a licensed exhibitor or to reactivate an existing exhibitor's license, the applicant must take an exam and achieve a passing score of 70% or higher. Exam applicants must submit a complete exam application to the Division of State Fire Marshal with payment. We also require an FBI background check and a letter of proficiency signed by an Ohio licensed exhibitor explaining the applicant's proficiency in handling and discharging fireworks, and that the applicant is capable of handling the responsibilities associated with exhibitions. As far as background checks, felony convictions, in addition to other factors such as the nature of the offense, how long ago the offense occurred, these things may result in denial of the application. Background check results must be approved before the applicant can go to take the exam. And once the applicant is approved to take the exam, an approval notice is emailed to the applicant, and our office forwards the applicant's information to our third-party exam vendor, PSI Services. Now, the applicant must schedule their exam through PSI by going to PSI's website or by calling PSI. So the applicant gets to control themselves when they schedule to take their exam. Testing is offered at 8 test centers around Ohio, which is incredibly convenient. And testing is also offered nationwide. Testing is Monday through Saturday many times, and some testing locations have extended hours. Once someone is approved by our office to test for the exam, testing eligibility is valid for 90 days. And when that person contacts PSI to schedule their exam, PSI charges a fee to set up and schedule and take that exam. We highly encourage applicants, and you will hear me say this more than once throughout this presentation, to have and keep their current email address on their exam application, since we notify applicants that they are eligible to take the exam strictly by email. Our fireworks exhibitor exam application has complete details on the application process and also includes the specific NFPA standards and Ohio Fire Code provisions that an applicant needs to study. That's all listed on the exam application, which is on our website. When an applicant passes the exhibitor exam, we have paperless license delivery. The license is emailed to the exhibitor. An exhibitor license expires April the 1st. For new registered exhibitor assistants, fireworks assistants do not have an exam requirement that the exhibitors have, but they still must complete an FBI background check requirement, just like exhibitors. Fireworks assistants must be sponsored by a licensed fireworks exhibitor who must sign off on their initial application to become registered. Exhibitors must also sign the assistant's renewals. To become a registered fireworks exhibitor assistant, it's a $25 application fee. And once the license is issued, it is valid for 1 year from the issue date. So once an exhibitor has their license, has passed the exam, now what do they have to do to maintain that license? So the fireworks exhibitor renewal requirements are the same for all three types, whether it's type 1, type 2, or type 3. The exhibitors renew annually. The renewal fee is $50, and that renewal must be submitted by the April 1st expiration date. Other requirements for that renewal are submission of a national FBI background check or an acceptable alternative if the one we have on file, the background check we have on file, is older than 36 months. So a background check is not required at every renewal, but it is required every 36 months. And we will talk more about those alternatives later. Exhibitors also have a 6-hour CE requirement that's due every 3 years. Exhibitors can renew online, and that is the most efficient, and that is the way that we prefer that individuals renew their licenses, to use our online portal. However, paper renewal is still available. The State Fire Marshal's office begins sending exhibitor renewal reminders by email in the month of January. And exhibitors do not have a late renewal period. If the renewal is not received by the State Fire Marshal by April 1st, which is the expiration date, that license expires. And the only way to regain that license is to retest. So we highly encourage people to renew early, and we send those renewals out early and often because we want to keep people compliant and licensed. And once that exhibitor does renew, we issue that license by email because our licenses are paperless. And so this is why it is important for exhibitors to keep their emails up to date, especially keeping a mailing address and a phone number up to date as well. Those are also great things to do. The most important is that email, because that is our primary means of communicating. Now let's look at the Registered Fireworks Exhibitor Assistant renewal requirements. So the assistant renewal expires 1 year from the date of issuance, so we don't have a set date for assistants like we do with the exhibitors that expire on April 1st. For the exhibitor assistants, the registered assistants, there's a $25 renewal fee, and renewal notices are sent approximately 90 days before expiration, and sometimes even earlier. Fireworks assistants have to be sponsored by a licensed fireworks exhibitor, and again, they sign off on all of their renewals. Assistants must attend 3 hours of safety training annually from their sponsoring supervising exhibitor, and that supervising exhibitor will attest on that renewal that they've provided the training to that assistant. They'll attest on that assistant's actual renewal. The sponsoring exhibitor's signature is required for renewal to verify employment. Now, this renewal can be completed online or by hard copy. For assistants, an FBI background check is still required, and it's still the 36 months, every 36 months requirement to maintain that assistant license. And we send those renewals out about the same time, about 90 days before they expire. And you want to ensure for assistants that that renewal is completed before that expiration date. Otherwise, there will be a lapse in license, and they will have to actually reapply. An assistant's paper license is issued to the assistant's sponsoring exhibitor, so it runs a little differently. That license doesn't go directly to the assistant, it goes to that sponsoring exhibitor. Online renewals. So we want to talk about this since it's a great feature and it's very convenient, going to our online portal that we refer to as eLicense. Companies can log in and renew their exhibitor employees. They can renew themselves and the assistants, because an assistant cannot renew themselves online. Their supervising exhibitor has to do that because they're the ones sponsoring them, taking responsibility for them. So we email those usernames to the email address on file, and also the username is printed on the hard copy renewal that is mailed. Any address changes, any email changes, submit those changes by email directly to TNR, to our email address that is on the screen. Email address, physical address, phone numbers, name changes, those cannot be made in the eLicense Center. You do have to contact testing and registration directly for those. Now, in the online exhibitor renewal portal, support documents can be uploaded. It's not mandatory, but it's another great tool to take advantage of. And also on that portal, payment by credit card is how you would submit payment. And we also take electronic check, ACH. So not only is it important to keep the email address current for the licenses, but other important information about changes in license law, things are sent by email as well. If the email on your license file is the employer's email and you leave that employer, be sure to contact us with your correct email. Not having the correct email on file could mean you are not receiving notices and can result in expiration of your license and retaking the exam to regain licensure, which we know that is very serious. So we urge you to keep your contact information up to date. Continuing education. All fireworks exhibitors, pyrotechnicians, and flame effects, all types of exhibitors must complete the 6-hour CE, and that's required every 36 months. This fireworks exhibitor CE course will be available anytime online, and you can access it through the State Fire Marshal's website. The courses are also offered in person. The continuing education course, they're usually offered early in the year. And another way that you can meet the continuing education requirement is by a third party. Third party 6-hour fireworks exhibitor CE courses that have been pre-approved by our office will also meet the requirement for your CE. These courses that are from a third party, they can only be taught by an instructor who has already completed the State Fire Marshal's Exhibitor CE. And that third-party continuing education course must first be approved by our office before the course starts. And the completion certificate for that course must be submitted to the State Fire Marshal to receive course credit for your continuing education. The continuing education for fireworks assistants is a little different. Registered fireworks exhibitor assistants must complete 3 hours of training annually. The sponsoring exhibitor is the one who verifies that that assistant has received that 3 hours of required education. And as I said, that is actually on the assistant's renewal, that sponsoring exhibitor verifies that. And the proof of the assistant's course completion is not required like it is for the exhibitor, but we recommend that you keep that maintained in the event of an audit. So it's good to have that ready to provide to an inspector if needed, even though it's not required to submit that with the assistant's renewal. So let's shift over to companies and talk about the fireworks out-of-state shipper's license. An out-of-state shipper's license issued by our office is required in order to ship 1.3G and 1.4G fireworks into Ohio. This is not something that Amazon can do or that FedEx can do, which we get those questions. It has to be a licensed out-of-state shipper who has proper placarding. A licensed out-of-state shipper can deliver fireworks to only an Ohio licensed wholesaler or manufacturer, or to an Ohio licensed exhibitor, only at their permitted exhibition site. And the application requirements for a fireworks out-of-state shipper are the application fee, which is $2,750. An FBI background check is required for all company shareholders owning 5% or greater. The license or permit that is issued in that state of residence, which authorizes the applicant to engage in the manufacture, wholesale, or transportation of fireworks in that state, is required to be submitted with your out-of-state shipper application to us. And also, the certificate of insurance is required for shipping fireworks pursuant to the United States Department of Transportation regulations. And the renewal for an out-of-state shipper license is pretty much the same as what you needed to do to get the license. You need to do that to keep the license. There is an annual renewal for the out-of-state shippers that is based on the date the license was initially issued. So you'll pay that $27.50 fee again, submit updated documents as far as the license you hold in that state, authorizing you to manufacture or sell or ship. And also you'll continue to send in that insurance so that it stays updated. And we still have the background check requirement as well. And that is still every 36 months. It's the same for out-of-state shippers as well. Moving on to another license type, fireworks wholesalers and manufacturers. So a fireworks wholesaler can sell 1.4G consumer grade and 1.3G consumer grade fireworks at retail and wholesale. And you will hear a lot more about what is 1.3G, 1.4G throughout this presentation. Fireworks manufacturer is another license type, and that is a processor of fireworks. And that manufacturer, they are a processor, but they also can sell in the same manner as the wholesaler license. As of the date of this recording, November 2022, the moratorium currently in place that prevents the issuance of additional fireworks licenses for wholesalers and manufacturers is set to expire December 31st, 2022, unless there are changes in legislation. You can see the State Fire Marshal website for updates or contact our office with wholesaler manufacturer questions. There is now a new fireworks license type. It's called the Fountain Device Retailer. And this QR code, you're welcome to access it. It gets you to the Fountain Device Retailer info on our website. Fountain device retailer licensees can possess and sell at retail a specific type of 1.4G firework called fountain devices. Per the Ohio Revised Code, fountain devices are non-aerial and non-report producing. The Revised Code further provides that fountains are ground-based or handheld, or a handheld sparkler with one or more tubes containing a non-explosive pyrotechnic mixture that produces a shower of sparks upon ignition, with or without additional effects that may include a colored flame, audible crackling effect, audible whistle effect, or smoke. Now, this is not the full, complete definition, so you want to check out the QR code for more info on our website about the fountain device retailer license. And with this code, you can also access the applicable Ohio Revised Code section 3743 that pertains to fountain device retailers. This is a screenshot of the Division of State Fire Marshal website, the front page. This is the main page here. Now from here, I want to show this to you because there are a couple of really good resources pertaining to fireworks that you can use. So from here, you can click the two highlighted tabs that I have here. I'll talk about the licensing and certification tab first. And if you click that licensing and certification tab, that's where you can find everything pertaining to what TNR administers, what the Testing and Registration Bureau administers. Forms, applications, guides, and resources pertaining to all of the 20-plus licenses that TNR administers in those major industries that we talked about earlier. The other highlighted tab that I have there is called Fireworks. Now that is the fireworks dedicated page, and that takes you, that tab actually takes you to the State Fire Marshal Fireworks Resource page. And that fireworks resource page is right here. QR code is provided that will actually take you directly to that fireworks resource page on the State Fire Marshal site, and this is what the resource page looks like. This is dedicated to fireworks specific info. You can find license applications and forms, advisory statements, Q&As, frequently asked questions, all related to fireworks, including consumer discharge and much, much more related guides and resources for fireworks. So this is a great tool. We continue to build this tool as laws change and evolve and things become effective. We continue to update this with more information as we bring that out to our stakeholders. Background checks are a significant part of most all of our fireworks license requirements, so we need to talk more about them and learn more about them. So as stated earlier, the National FBI background check is required for fireworks exhibitors, registered exhibitor assistants, fireworks wholesalers, fireworks manufacturers, and out-of-state shipper licenses. Now, there are a few ways that license applicants can satisfy the background check requirement. Here is a link on the QR code you see to approved web check locations, and they're all in Ohio, that conduct background checks. And so that's mostly your local sheriff's office, but a number of background check agencies and services are approved through the Ohio Attorney General's office, and you can find out whether a location is approved or not by using this link to the approved web check locations. And it does, in order for us to accept that web check, which basically means an electronic background check where your prints are scanned on an actual electronic scanner, the background check location has to be on that Ohio Bureau of Investigations and Identification, which is BCI, the approved web check location list. It's also a good idea to call that location ahead of time. That's recommended in case an appointment is required for background check services at that location. So a couple tips on what to do when you're going to get your background check completed. You want to make sure that you provide reason code 121-08. This is on our applications as well and our instructions. You want to make sure you provide that reason code. That ensures that the background check results go directly to our office, because they have to go directly to us. They can't go to an applicant and the applicant delivers them to us. They go directly to us. And so you want to make sure that you provide that location that's conducting your background check with reason code 121-08. You want to request that the results be mailed directly to the Division of State Fire Marshal. Our address is listed here on the slide. You want to make sure that you indicate our address directly and make that to the Attention Testing and Registration Bureau. You want to be sure to request an FBI check, which is the federal check, the national check. State level background checks, Ohio level background checks will not be accepted for any of our fireworks licenses. So that's one way that you could get a background check completed, is by going to your local sheriff's office or any approved web check location. Another way to satisfy the background check requirement is to come here to the State Fire Marshal's office. Background check services are provided at the Division of State Fire Marshal's office in the Testing and Registration Bureau for our licensed applicants by appointment only. And we take those appointments Tuesday through Friday between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Our cost for a background check here is $25.25. It's very easy to make an appointment. You contact us by email at the email address on the slide, webfmtr@com.state.oh.us. And in that email, you're going to provide us with your name, your license number, or the type of license you are applying for or renewing, the date that you would like to be scheduled, which is going to be a Tuesday through Friday, and also the time between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. that you would like to schedule. We check our email, our general email inbox all day throughout the day, and you will receive a reply email letting you know if your appointment is confirmed or if we need to come up with an alternative schedule. And those background checks are conducted right here at the State Fire Marshal's office in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. And lastly, another way to satisfy the background check requirement is by using an alternative. There are some alternatives that the State Fire Marshal may accept as satisfactory documentation of a person's criminal history if they've been issued, if these alternatives have been issued within 36 months. The applicant must supply a copy of this certificate to our office. So one of those alternatives that we will accept if issued within 36 months is the Ohio CCW card, the concealed carry, a currently valid certificate of clearance that's issued by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, or we will accept the Transportation Security Administration, TSA's hazardous materials endorsement, a hazmat endorsement. Typically, we see that on driver's licenses or on direct information from TSA. Another form we will accept from TSA is what's called the TWIC card, the Transportation Worker Identification Credential Card. That's often issued for those working on the borders. So these are the alternatives that we will accept in lieu of a background check, because the requirements, it's still a federal check to obtain any of these credentials, and the requirements are similar to what we require for our license. So we are able to accept these. And you just want to keep in mind that felony convictions, in addition to other factors like the nature of an offense, how long ago the offense occurred, could result in the denial of an application, whether it's a new application or even a renewal if something new pops up on a background check. In the fireworks industry, we will often receive applicants from out of the state. And so I want to talk about out-of-state background checks, because we get that question too, especially those who are watching this online. So if you are an applicant for a fireworks credential and you live outside of Ohio and you do not have any of the acceptable alternatives that I previously mentioned, you can submit your fingerprints to the Ohio Bureau of Investigations and Identification without traveling to Ohio. But there are very clear instructions, and you need to make sure that you read those and follow those instructions in order to do this successfully. So to mail in a fingerprint card to the Ohio Bureau of Investigations and Identification, you must follow the steps for out-of-state background check people to complete their check. So you first want to print the FBI fingerprint card, and you can access that through this QR code, and regular paper to print it on is fine. Now that sounds like you may not be able to do that, but you actually can. We've checked on that. So you would get to the FBI fingerprint card with this code, and you would print that off, take it to your local sheriff's office or police office in your area, whatever state that you are in, so that your fingerprints can be rolled on that fingerprint card. Now, on the print card, there are blanks that you need to fill out. So on the print card, you want to fill in that reason code we mentioned earlier, which is 121-08, very important. On the print card, there's an employer box. And even though we are not your employer, we want the background check to go to us. So you will fill in the Ohio Division of State Fire Marshals information, address, city, state, and zip. Under the employer box, you'll fill in the state fire marshal's information. And once the police or sheriff in your state rolls your prints, you'll mail that completed print card a check for $25.25 made out to the Treasurer of the State of Ohio, and also the completed request for for exemption from electronic information, and that's the next code. So that's another form that you fill out. So there are two things that you want to make sure you print out: the print card itself, and also the request for exemption form. Not a hard form at all to fill out. It does have some instructions, tells you exactly where to mail the card and the exemption form to BCI's address in London, Ohio. And you do want to make sure that you make a note or something in your request. I am requesting an FBI background check, as opposed to the state background check. That is not what you want. So on both of these forms that you print out, you just want to make sure that you read those instruction pages so you don't miss any of BCI's steps. And With that mailing, you'll mail the completed print card, the completed exemption form, your payment, and you will be on your way to getting a background check completed for out of state. So that concludes my presentation. I want to thank you very much for your attention to this material. Does anyone have any questions at this time? All right, thank you and enjoy the rest of your course.